Peace. So, it's a new beautiful day in the neighborhood. Some things on my mind. What do you do? Anxiety. In this world right now, we live with so much anxiety. Everyone got anxiety about one thing or the next. There's a lot of things we can't control and we shouldn't be stressed out about, but we have to kind of pay attention that a lot of nuances that can either get in your way or get out your way. And the best part that things get in your way, if there's a new subculture or nuance to it, is if it's through people. And if those people have an authority over you. I guess you gotta kind of play ball so long as you're playing that kind of ball. You have to adhere to the rules if you're playing by somebody's rules. Even if those rules go against you or if they're even stacked against you, unfortunate, that's life. It's a lot of fucked up things about life. I mean, a lot. However, there's a lot of good things about life too. And sometimes after you go through a lot of fucked up things about life, you kind of stop not giving a fuck about those limitations, and then maybe you start opening up yourself, your mind to yourself in a deeper way, like how to apply yourself in a more authentic and genuine and real way. You like to paint? You should paint, man. You should go paint and sell some artwork. And stick to those guns. Sell artwork. See what that's like for you. If that's what you do, you're into music, great. You should solely do music to the point where you're fucking dependent on it, and that's what you do. It's a lot of my good friends who are very successful in their life who've jumped off the porch, for metaphorically speaking, in that manner, and even edged me on, motivated me to do the same. Despite me not exactly grasping the gall or even the fortitude to do so. Sometimes you need the vision for sure, and then you need the fortitude to get up out there and push yourself out there and keep pushing yourself out there consistently to manifest the kind of life and dream you want. So you can always work somewhere, one company with the next company, this, that, and third, or stick to the company you got and work until you're retired. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing if you can maintain that. It takes a grand degree of power and discipline and just personal just you have that shit. If you got it, do that and do it. And show other people how to do it too. Because not everybody knows how to do that too. I don't know. I guess my mind is swimming with so many different thoughts. What do we sacrifice for? Lately, I've been sacrificing so much, driving one end to the world and to the next, and just trying to make sure one thing gets paid and the next thing gets paid. But I have to ask myself, am I motivated by anxiety or am I motivated by passion? And so I have a very dear friend of mine who I placed into like a spiritual counselor of mine, so to speak. So I needed that person to examine that question, actually, whether or not I was moving from passion or whether I was moving from anxiety. If you move from anxiety, even stress, the things you might get yourself up to, it doesn't have to be bad. It just might not be for you, or it just might be misplaced energy and all that. Same thing, I guess. It's just different from the things that are for you, that want to cultivate you. You know if you're being cultivated or not, surely by now in this life. If not, cultivation is sort of like growing a plant. You grow a plant, you kind of want to take care of it. You keep your eye on it, you water it, you nurture it, so it grows into the healthy plant you want it to be. If you grab a plant and you disregard it, or you give it just some basic minute, you throw the dirt in there, you put some water on it and put it in somewhere in half-assed light, and either it grows or it doesn't. It kind of is a representation of what kind of nurture you are and whether or not anything should grow in your hands or be placed in your hands in a responsible manner for you to cultivate, because you may not know or may not have learned the science of cultivating something like a plant. And sometimes that's that can be a metaphoric process. So the plant could be many things in our lives. The plant could be our relationships. The plant could be our work attitude. It could be our personal attitude. So many things we nurture, it grows. How much are we nurturing anything from a place of, how much are we cultivating anything from a place of nurturing, that you care about it, you're passionate, you want this to grow? Or how many times or how much are you cultivating things just from anxiety? Man, I want to make sure rent don't end up late, so I got to do this and do that and hit that bank job. I mean, that job. I said a bank job. I did not mean that. You take these glasses off, man. Listen, I did not mean a bank job, but you know what I mean. Like, you do this, you do that, you're running around trying to make sure that you're financially covered, and you might be great at it, and you do that, and it's awesome, but it stresses you out. And even though if you get your everything paid, you're still left from having worked through so much anxiety that you may not pay attention. Working through anxiety has become working with anxiety for you. And so you get so used to it because that's what you cultivate. That's what you grew into yourself and out of yourself. So today, before I hit this gym, I had to ask myself, am I moving from passion or am I moving from fear? I mean, yeah, am I moving from love or am I moving from fear? Do I work from love or do I work from fear? Am I afraid of losing a goal? Or am I more in love with growing into a goal? These are things I gotta ask myself. And it's easy to say, oh, this, love. But when you love something, I could say love all day, but then I love the gym a whole lot more than I love cleaning up my apartment or staying, you know what I mean? It's just all these elements. And so working towards trying your best to be a whole person where it's like my love from here and my love from here and my love from here mirrors each other, and how I apply myself, and furthermore, how these things cultivate and grow begin to mirror each other, as if I had 3 or 4, 5, 6 children. They're all different, but if you love each of them and you take time nurturing and caring for them, then each of them grow up to be great grand personalities on their own, despite being different. And that's because you've nurtured them and your cultivation game came from a place of love, right? If you're afraid all the time that you not might from one insecurity or the next, who knows? Insecurities are dished out by the seconds in this world. Then you might experience a dysfunctional growth process in what you have got going on there. And if so, you might end up cultivating some dysfunctional motherfuckers like me. Shout out to my dad. He did his best as he could. Shout out to my mom. She did as best as she could. But still, that doesn't take away from the truth. So some things to ask myself, and maybe some things to ask you. Are you really moving from passion, from love, and all the things you do and all the things that you grow in your life? Or are you moving from fear and all the things that you're growing from life? Are your objectives because you love to become something? Or are your objectives because you are looking to prevent something? If you're moving to looking to prevent failure, then you're probably going to be anxiety ridden until it becomes you, and then until you're completely taken over by it. Whatever that might mean for you. Seemingly a surface, maybe a superficial conversation, maybe a superficial subject, but I don't think so. I mean, not to me. I've disregarded this kind of process and this thought process a little bit in this manner for far too long. And I'm doing well enough to really check to see which one am I moving from and which one I would like to move from. And then maybe the final question, or maybe leading up to the last question, is how do you do it, right? So you want to do music. That's easy to say. Everybody wants to do music these days. How do you go out there and become successful at it despite your discipline and all the hard work you put in? And that goes for anything you want to be successful in through your passion and your love, whether you're caretaking for people, whether you're a counselor, whether you're healer with your hands, a massage therapist, a doctor, whatever it is, whatever your passion is, then something that you're in love with, do you cultivate that? Do you really nurture that? And is anyone teaching us that? And that's kind of what's going through my head. I have no answers. I guess I'm just sharing my thought process because maybe I ain't the only one thinking like this. Who knows? Have a peace and blessings. Have an excellent day. We gonna see.